Despite being delayed, our plane from Singapore arrived on time in Bali, Indonesia. It was the first time either of us had crossed the equator into the southern hemisphere.
Have you ever stared into a toilet to watch which way the water swirls?
We were exhausted, but we still had a long way to go. A 2.5-hour taxi ride in the dark on narrow, twisty roads. Our driver was skilled and safe, but it was still an unpleasant trip. We finally arrived at Kubu Kangen Resort in the town of Amed. The staff were friendly.
Something we experienced from almost every Indonesian we would meet.
They prepared us a welcome tea while we settled into our lovely and large bungalow. It was our first open-air bathroom, walled but only a partial ceiling, so we would be sharing that space with various creatures. The first being a tokay gecko nestled in the rafters, and the most common being all these millipedes. We had intended to sleep late, but the geckos, roosters, and dogs at dawn, then nearby construction starting at 8 a.m. sharp, did not cooperate. During breakfast, we got some tips from a staff member on where to snorkel, so we geared up, walked to the beach, and then along the beach to Turtle Point. Wanting desperately to avoid the crowds and party atmosphere of South Bali was one reason we chose Amed. Renowned snorkeling was the other. The experience made the previous night's long drive more than worth it. From the moment we put our faces into the water, it was amazing. Within a couple of minutes, we spotted a striped eel, bright blue sea stars, an array of coral, and countless fish. The amount and variety of fish, with so many shapes, sizes, and colors, was breathtaking. At times, it felt fake being surrounded by so much sea life everywhere.
Like we were in a virtual reality simulation.
And then, to top the experience, Heike spotted a sea turtle. It was the wrong time of day. They're more of an early morning thing, but we lucked out. We watched and followed the beautiful ocean reptile for a while as it flew gracefully through the water. It stopped and seemed to try hiding from us in some anemone, so we left it alone and continued on. It was all so captivating that we were out in the water a long time.
Probably too long.
John was starting to feel seasick.
He loves snorkeling, but he can't handle the motion of the ocean.
We got out and had a refreshment at a beach bar. Next door was a rental hut with stand-up paddleboards.
I love me some SUP.
We decided to take a couple out because it was such a beautiful afternoon.
In the rainy season, you never know if showers will wash out your plans.
The water was fairly calm, but even the small waves rocking the boards in all directions were enough to make it difficult to stand. Even for Heike, who goes with her sister's family regularly on the North Saskatchewan River. But this was her inaugural ocean paddle.
Yeah, I was being cocky and stood up too soon and biffed it 6 feet offshore.
We were doing well, but the residual seasickness came back with a vengeance in John. He was on the verge of puking into the water. At our turnaround point, John had to hit the shore and take a rest on the beach to let his stomach settle a bit. On the return, we saw a large, frilly, pulsating bell jellyfish, and we managed to get back without John retching, so it was win-win. We had dinner at the resort. They get it delivered from a restaurant down the street, which is owned by the same person who owns the hotel. The next morning, we got up before construction started and went straight to the beach. We geared up and started snorkeling at the beach right across from the hotel.
Not a great choice.
There was nothing but sand and small jellyfish for a long, long way. We swam hard for 30 minutes straight.
It was the longest continuous swim of my life.
Eventually, we got back to about where we had gotten in the day before. It was worth the effort. We saw multiple turtles eating jellyfish. At different times, we both had the amazing experience of a turtle swimming right up to our faces to snatch and gulp down a jellyfish close enough that we could have touched them.
We didn't, of course.
Then we saw another larger species of turtle grazing on algae off the coral and rocks. After a while, tour boats filled with other snorkelers started showing up. That signaled our time to go. We walked back, and it was still early enough for breakfast. We took an afternoon walk,
As we are wont to do.
to check out a possible next day's snorkel location. After scoping it out, we had a drink at Jolly Best View Cafe up on the side of a hill overlooking the bay. Feeling snacky, we decided to share delicious sayur lodeh, a Balinese curry soup made from tempeh, tofu, squash, ginger, galangal, lemongrass, turmeric, and other spices. Later that night, while waiting for our dinner to be delivered, we saw a scary-looking spider near a wall, large snails on the sidewalk, bats swooping and hunting insects over the pool, and a tokay gecko in the restaurant rafters. The wild encounters were fun pre-meal entertainment before our chapchae and soto ayam, followed by desserts of dadar gulung, sweet coconut honey pancakes, and chocolate lava cake.
made from scrumptious Balinese chocolate.
It was another early morning as we undertook the long walk to our third and final Amed snorkeling area. We started with the underwater temple. Not very exciting, but a manufactured place for the tour companies to bring their customers. Beyond that area were some beautiful corals. It was fairly shallow, allowing us to float quite close to all of it. The fish were approaching us quite interested.
Obviously, they are regularly fed by tourists.
As we moved on to deeper water, we were enveloped by massive schools of tiny silver fish.
Sardines, maybe?
We also saw a beautiful purple spotted stingray. The seabed turned rocky and became rather devoid of life, so we turned back. It was a tough swim against the current. We were pretty pooped by the time we got out, and then walked all the way to the hotel for breakfast. Early that afternoon, it absolutely poured rain. It came down so hard that it flooded our bathroom. Thankfully, it cleared up in time for us to take our planned taxi ride to a cafe overlooking stepped rice fields. We admired the view and enjoyed red ginger iced tea and organic Bali coffee, as well as fried bananas, which are served pretty much everywhere here.
We had to try them, and the sweet honey and batter coating were good, but I do not care for hot banana.